This video will contain spoilers. Notice the fact that I googled the words marching powder film. For some reason, the film just does not appear on Google at all. As far as I know, if you search up just marching powder, it just brings up some book that is, as far as I know, unrelated to the film. I don't think the film is based on a book. Um, I get this film, Wildlands, I hadn't heard of it before, is about cocaine. Actually, this is to do with Ghost Recon Wildlands. I just realized. Okay. Um, I get that that's something about cocaine, but there's literally a film called Marching Powder. I searched up for a film called Marching Powder, so I don't get why Google is being stupid. Okay, I'm a minute into the video. I can say the word I want to say: retarded. Um, but yeah, Marching Powder. It's got like a 5 point something on IMDb. Starring Danny Dyer. That's, as far as I remember, the only person in it that I recognize. The film's okay. Some of the dialogue I feel like is kind of based because he uses words that you can't really say anymore. Like he uses the word tranny at one point in the film. I don't think there was really any context to it. It's just kind of like in your typical British crime film where they'll introduce a character and then they'll give like a wee story about them, just a wee funny bit, and it was like he was talking about one of his mates, and he said, "Oh, he was caught blowing a tranny in a Tesco bathroom," something like that. Um, but then at the end, he says that he's changed his life around, which I mean, I did support that. I didn't want it to be like he doesn't change. I did want him to change, but some of the things that he did say he was going to change is bollocks. Um, just all left wing stuff. But then he immediately goes back to fighting. So it's sort of like, does he change? Does he not? I think he won't. Which is a shame. There are some quite funny moments in the film, but I wouldn't call it bad. It's just eh. I think the funniest bit of it was when he got a job at a cafe, and the only other barista was a black man, and um, a customer called that black man the N word, and the guy started fighting him. Um, Although our generation doesn't really do that, it didn't make sense. Um, that's all I have to say about it. I'm sorry for keeping it short, but at least I feel like I did say quite a bit. Bonhoffer, universally negative ratings. I had a feeling that was Flielborg. I ain't blooming nose. Sorry about that. This is an Angel Studios film. Um, they made Sign of Freedom and Sign of Hope, and the shit, I can't remember the name of it. It's that one where Madonna plays the devil. Um, so I was quite excited to watch this. I mentioned it to my brother, and he said, "Was that the same as Valkyrie?" Because I didn't remember that he was a pastor. I just remembered that it was something to do with trying to kill Hitler. So I thought, yeah, maybe it is, but obviously it's not. The guy that Tom Cruise plays in Valkyrie was like a member of the SS or the party, whereas Bonhoeffer is or was a pastor. I was looking at my phone a lot to check the time. It's not a bad film at all, but I did feel quite bored during a lot of it, which I do feel very shameful about. Like it was a very good film. The way that it went back and forth, I think, was done quite well. It started with him as a child, then I went to like one of his last days alive, then I went to him as a slightly older child, then I went back to him in 1945, and then back and forth and back and forth. I thought it was done quite well. It was weird seeing Hitler and Churchill in this. I don't know. It just looked weird. I feel like any time there's a biopic about someone that you don't know about, and then someone you do know about like appears in it, it's always weird. Like you have that movie about Brexit. I didn't know who Dominic Cummings was before I seen it, and then in it, like Boris Johnson has a cameo, and it's quite weird, especially since the guy who plays Boris Johnson is a bit weird. I mean, Boris Johnson's a bit weird looking, but you know what I mean. Um, the director gave a little sort of introduction at the start of the film, and he called Bonhoeffer one of the world's greatest heroes, but I don't think, like, based on what I've seen in the film, I hadn't heard of this guy before I've seen the film, but based on what's in the film, it doesn't really seem like he accomplished much. Like I feel like, yeah, the effort was there, and he did rescue some people, and I do respect him for that. I'm not saying he isn't a hero. What I'm saying is that he is not as much of a hero, as he's not as revolutionary as the director says he is. Because I feel like the whole I think the whole thing of him saying that was the fact that he went to America and Britain and tried to say, this is what's happening to the Jews, the mentally disabled, the gays, blah blah blah, in Germany. Someone needs to put a stop to it. Like, we need to go to war. I feel like, even say Bonhoeffer just did not exist, I feel like we still would have went to war at the exact same time. The results would have been exactly the same. So I feel like he didn't really do all that much. Um, but that could just be the film failed to sort of show the impact. Uh, um, like, I'm not outright denying that he was responsible. Once again, I apologize for rambling, but that's all I really have to say. So moving on. Middle review, Yakuza 5. The reason why I took so long to get to this point is because I was going at a steady pace, but then Dylan let me land his Blue Lock manga, and I figured I want to. I don't want to just hog this and keep it for a long time. I want to give it back to him ASAP. So I figured what I'm gonna do is play one chapter of Yakuza and then read one volume of Blue Log. And I'm currently on volume 10. Um, and like, I got into the rhythm of doing that. I was efficient. I was fast. Uh, but then I had to go to work for it was only 3 days, but I sort of lost my rhythm from that, and I haven't really recovered. Even though work is basically over for me. Like I don't think I'm gonna work another shift in that place again. I think they're done with me. Um, so it did take a while, but I'm here, and my so I don't remember where I got to when I did the beginning review. I'm just gonna assume that I was like halfway through Kiryu's story. Taxi stuff, I thought was pretty good. Although I did play it like nearly a month ago, so it's hindsight. It's not like fresh in my memory. I feel like the races are quite easy. Although I intentionally did every taxi mission before I did the race missions, so maybe that's why. Um, I'm pissed off at the fact that they have a character called Tatsuya because I thought it was going to be like Tatsuya from the Black Panther games, but it's not. So it's just some fucking random cook who I'm not gonna do his thing. Like what it is that you have to go to a very particular restaurant. You don't need to go in or anything. You just need to stand there and interact with it, and then whoever you're playing as will be like, "Oh, I should tell Tatsuya about that place," and then you go around and you tell him, and you'll get like a temporary boost. I'm not fucking with that. I'm not doing that. If it were a permanent boost, I would do it, but I don't really care about temporary boosts. Um, the Suke guy, the Kiru has the option to fight. I feel like he's tough, but I didn't have any trouble with him. I think that's all I have to say about Kiru. Moving on to Sajime, I didn't think that he would have spent most of his story in prison. I thought it was just going to be one chapter, but it's two, and even then, chapter three, you can end chapter three in 5 minutes. Like chapter three took a long time because that's where his version of the taxi is because every character has their own thing. Gary's a taxi driver and Sajime is a hunter. All the hunting thing, like all that happens in chapter three. That's why it took me so long to do chapter three. But if you don't want to do all that, it's 5 minutes. Same way that chapter three of that detective story from Yakuza 4 is, 5 minutes if you don't do anything. But the hunting thing, um, they make it seem like it's a lot more complicated and hard than it is. I did all that shit, no problem. Um, Although the only there was one problem or two problems really I had. One was the fact that there's like this guy's house. He's the leader of the village. You can go to like outside his house, but the game registers outside his house as one location. And it's adding an unnecessary loading screen. You didn't need to do that. You could have just put it as one location. So we didn't need to load into it. And the second thing is that someone tells you that like if you go past a bridge, there's some creepy guy there, and that's another location that you need to load into. I went there multiple times. Not a single fucking person was there. So what's up with that? Anyway, I'm enjoying the story of the game, although I feel like I don't remember what it was like with the last game, but I feel like they're really, really fucking teasing you with this because Kiri's story was quite interesting, and then it got to the end, it was like goddamn. And then Sajima's story, especially, it was good from the start, but then at the end it was like goddamn. And then it cuts to the Sarika. I've heard that apparently people don't like I said Sarika. Harika's story. I like it. I like the rhythm stuff. I'm not usually good at that kind of thing, but I would say I'm good at this. I didn't do all of it because I hit level 20, and I looked up like why you can't get every skill, and it turns out that it is possible to get the level 25, but you need to wait until you get Kamurocho, and then you need to talk to that Sosuke guy. Um, so I just need to keep on playing. Finish your story up. Like the, it was quite diverse. It wasn't all just dancing, but I feel like the dance battles and the non-dance battles did all the same. But I didn't mind. It was understanding. It was good. And playing as Haruka, like goddamn, I didn't expect that, but I enjoy it. I'm glad Akiyama is back. He was like my favorite character that you play as that isn't Kiryu in Yakuza 4. Um, I'm a bit disappointed that he doesn't have anything. Like he doesn't have taxi driving, hunting, or dancing. And speaking of, I've heard. I'm pretty sure the last guy, like I kind of got spoiled for me. I'm pretty sure he's a baseball guy. I get that this is a game called Yakuza, and the first three things that we have is taxi driving, hunting, and dancing. But what the fuck? Why is the next thing baseball? I do like the whole Akiyama and Haruka team up thing, and I'm as much as I feel like bad things happen to these people too much. I'm kind of glad that it isn't just dancing. There is like an element of mystery to it. I think the last thing I have to talk about is Saigo, who he does the same thing for Akiyama that Suzuki does for Kiru, but the game acts like Saigo is extremely difficult. Like they call his missions suicidal training. I didn't die once. I don't know if it's that I'm like being really, I don't know, tight. Like I can't think of what the word would be. Um, but I just didn't die once. So I'm not the kind of guy that enjoys a challenge, but to call it like suicidal training and then have it be that. And don't get me wrong, there were a couple times where I nearly died, but it's just it's. Despite everything, I'm loving the game. It is probably my third favorite, maybe second favorite. Nothing has beaten two yet, and I don't think anything will.